Warning, you're gonna see the bad ending in this episode. Just thought I should warn you. Hey there guys, Ren'Py here, welcome back to Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. Last time, we visited the city, played a game of pool with Hanako, and we learned a little bit more about her. In this part, maybe we'll learn even more. So, without further ado, let's get started. Right then, you taking the bus, Lily? Lily motions to a large suitcase standing beside her. I'll have to take this with me, so I've booked a taxi. It'll meet us at the school gates in about 5 minutes. Ah, I see. Lily reaches down and feels at the handle of her suitcase. Its weight causes her some difficulty, so I quickly offer to take it myself. That is awfully kind of you, Sal. She has no qualms about accepting, and I end up picking it up. It's not what I'd call light, but it's not exactly heavy either. I don't think I'll have too much trouble carrying it. Well, thank you then. We should hurry though. If the taxi leaves, then it will take quite a while to book a new one. You ready, Hanako? Yeah, let's go. We rush to the gate as fast as we can, only to find out that the taxi is yet to arrive. Well, nothing like a bit of exercise in the morning. The nurse told me I should be doing that. I think you probably had other things in mind, Sal, and probably with more regularity. Do you intend to be helping people with the luggage every day? I guess not. Looks like we gotta wait a bit anyway. How long should we wait for the taxi before calling them again? I would say another 10 minutes, but they've never let me down before. There's probably just a little traffic. Okay then. So how long is the flight to Scotland? About 16 hours if I remember correctly. It's a bit hard to tell with the changing time zones. Long. It's now that I realize Hanako's been unusually quiet, even for her. She doesn't handle stress well, so she's looking really uptight. And I can't imagine being on a plane for that long. I've only ever flown on a short family holiday up north, so it really is quite hard to fathom. If Hanako spent so much of her childhood in an orphanage, she's probably traveled very little, let alone flown. It's not too bad. I'll spend most of it either asleep or catching up on my English. I hardly use that here, so I'll need to refamiliarize myself with it a little. Will your accent be a problem? I wouldn't worry about it too much. It may be an issue initially, but I should be fine once I get used to it. We all move to sit down on the small bench beside the school gate in silence. Strangely enough, even though I know that Lily's going away, I can't think of anything to say to her. Lily is a reliable person, so it might be because she isn't the one that I'm thinking of most. Lily might not be able to see it, but Hanako's chewing her fingernails nervously. I move to talk to her, but can hear an engine straining up the hill before I get the chance. Ah, I think the taxi's on its way. Well spotted, Sal. I only just heard it as well. A small wave of pride washes over me. To have noticed something at the same time as Lily must mean that I've become more aware of my surroundings. Anyway, we won't have to call the taxi company, nor worry about missing Lily's train. Once the taxi stops where we're standing, the driver rolls down a window and leans over. After confirming that yes, Lily is the same Lily Sato that booked the trip, we sort out her luggage. The driver opens the trunk of the taxi and takes Lily's suitcase, with Lily climbing into the backseat as he loads her into the trunk and slams it shut. After getting back into his seat and shutting the doors, he waits for us to say our farewells. Have a safe trip. Have a safe trip, Lily. Take care of yourself. Hanako looks understandably downcast, and that much is obvious even in her voice. Of course I will. I'll be back before long, don't worry. There will be another person for you here too, won't there, Sal? Yeah, of course. I turn and smile to Hanako, putting my hand on her shoulder. She only manages to keep eye contact with me for a couple of seconds, her cheeks red all the while before turning back to Lily. See you, Lily. Goodbye! Lily gives her farewells to the both of us with a fair measure of reluctance. Without further ado, the driver starts the engine once more and they begin down the hill, toward the airport. The two of us stand at the gates for a long time, even after they've disappeared from sight, not really knowing what to do. So, what do you want to do? I don't know. Alright, this is the split point. Like, beyond here and see if I can phrase this correctly. This is probably the last point where you can go for the different endings. Before I started recording this part, or was it the last one? Might have been the last one. I tested how I could get all 3 endings from this point. It is possible. So, we can make a save state right here. Yeah, might as well do it there. Okay. Now, do you want to go into the city? Goes for the good and neutral endings. But I want to show the bad one first, so let's go with the stupid decision and say, how about we call it a day? I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to try and take a nap. My head is killing me. Judging by Hanako's instant relief, I can only assume that I've guessed right. I don't think she wants to be out and about. Ah, quite the contrary. Wordlessly, she turns and heads back through the school gate. We walk all the way back to the dorms together, stopping awkwardly at the spot where we need to part. Well then, goodbye. Do you want to have some tea or something later? How about a game? Hanako shakes her head embarrassedly. I'm tired. Maybe tomorrow? I've got homework. I suppose she would have a bit of schoolwork to catch up on. She's missed a few days of lessons, after all. Oh, homework. Thanks for reminding me. I got a stack to do as well. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. See you, Wasao. Before I can say goodbye, Hanako's turned and begun walking toward the entrance to the female dormitory building. I look at the door she disappears through for a bit, before going off to my own dorms. Tomorrow will be a better day. Act 4. Scars. This is technically the bad half. Because if I checked it correctly, choosing you want to call it a day locks you into the bad ending. I woke up, took my pills, had a nice shower, quickly slipped on my uniform, ate a tasty breakfast, grabbed my bag, and headed off, all as per my usual daily routine. It was only after arriving in class that the normality of the day was thrown off. After taking my seat, I watched my classmates trickle into the room over the next hour until every empty seat was eventually taken, other than Hanako's. See Shizune off on the side. I can never get used to the idea that she just doesn't show up for class every now and again. It feels all the more worrying now as well, given that Lily's left. As Muto continues to drone on, I find my gaze flickering every so often over to her seat, as if she might appear there any moment now. Nobody else seems to care at all about her absence, but they have little reason to. Hanako being absent from class, after all, is perfectly normal. At least, it was. Her attendance hasn't been all that bad from what I've seen in my time here, but was apparently much more spotty beforehand. This is also an ominous time for her to be gone. It's the day before her birthday, and my suspicions are starting to rise, after the breakdown she had in class when it was mentioned. An increasing amount of my thoughts is taken up by how I can help her. But in the end, I feel like I can't do anything. The bell heralding the beginning of lunchtime rings out, shaking me out of my thoughts. A collective sigh of relief can be heard from the class, though Muto looks quite put off. He dislikes being interrupted in the middle of his exciting lectures, after all. Just when I'm wondering what I should do on lunch break, given that Hanako and Lily on here, the solution presents itself. Afternoon, Hichan. Afternoon, Misha, Shizune. Both looks bright as ever. Hichan wants to know if you'd like to have lunch with us today. Sure, it'd be good to have some company. The cafeteria hums with activity, much like my old schools did. Yamaku's different, though, in how strangely civilized the lunchtime rush is. What one would expect to be an unruly mob chomping at the bit to get to the serving area is rather a neat and organized line. There's a small amount of jostling, and people's heads are often craning around to check on what's happened up ahead, but it's pretty subdued. This is due, no doubt, to the very serious rules regarding such matters in the school. The same strict discipline is observed when students move in the hallways, come to and from their dormitories in the school gate. While the reasons for it may be slightly off-putting, I've come to quite like this sense of order that's enforced in the school. I didn't really like being told by Shizune and Misha to get their lunches, though. I feel a little used as I take a seat at the table where they're sitting, plunking their food down in front of them. Sweetbread and strawberry milk for Misha, and a bowl of ramen and juice for Shizune. I heave a sigh of relief as I put it all down, after the significant difficulty I had carrying it all in addition to my own lunch. Thank you! Misha claps her hands together before popping open the wrapper and digging into her bread ravenously. Shizune simply gives an appreciative nod before giving her steaming ramen a stir and blowing on it a little to cool it down. I open my own lunch, another packet of sweetbread, and take a bite before washing it down with some juice. The bread is very sweet, obviously, so much so that I end up forcing myself to stomach it just to get the experience over with. Midway through, I decide to take a break from the difficult task and ask what's on my mind. So I'm guessing you two had a reason to drag me down here? You two seem to always have an ulterior motive after all. What are you saying, He-fan? We don't have any upper motive? Her mouth is full of sweetbread as she speaks. It's a pretty unpleasant sight. Shizune looks a little grossed out before going back to eating her ramen. I'm going to wait until Misha swallows what she has in her mouth before speaking again. You're not buttering me up to make me work with you after school? Nope. Not trying to extract information from me that I might not want to give? Nuh-uh. Fine, you win. Misha just wanted to eat lunch with someone as intelligent and as handsome as me then. That's E-chan, you got it. Shizune looks unimpressed as she finishes signing our conversation and sucks in the last of a long noodle as she signs her own thoughts. She-chan says you shouldn't be so suspicious of it. She's just doing her duty as a class representative, after all. How is she or are you doing that? As much as I hate to admit it, it looks as if I still have trouble communicating with Shizune. It should be a simple matter keeping eye contact with her and addressing Shizune instead of Misha in my speech, but when somebody else is doing the talking for her, it's a surprisingly difficult task. It's the class representative's job to ensure everybody's doing alright in class, isn't it? Not really. Wait, how is making me get your food ensuring that it'll go well in class? Shizune huffs and adjusts her glasses disapprovingly. So this is the thanks we get for giving you companionship during lunchtime? That's a total dodge of the question. Wait, hang on. How did you know that I... Lily's away and Hanako's absent, and since those two are the only people we hang around with... You also made it kind of obvious to see. Ouch. I may have well done so, but she didn't need to rub it in. Maybe this is payback for before. Right, well, thanks, I appreciate it, and that isn't sarcasm. The two nod, and we get back to finishing our meals. It feels a little embarrassing to be accompanied just because they noticed I was lonely, but it isn't as if they're strangers either. It isn't long before I finish the last of my bread and start on the last of my juice, and as I do so, I find my mind wandering back to what I've been thinking about before the two interrupted my train of thought. It feels like I'm the only one in class that so much as acknowledges Hanako not being there. It felt like this the other time she skipped class, but now it's even more acutely annoying. Does nobody care if she's happy or not? Have they just written off any possibility of helping to make her better? Even Muto doesn't try to keep her in class, but I'm still not wholly convinced by his reasoning. Chan, is your juice past its expiry date? What? You were pulling a weird face like this. As if it were needed, Misha mimics my own expression. Her exaggeration makes me grimace, though Shizune at least takes some amusement out of it. I was just thinking about Hanako. Oh? Misha's interest is piqued, and so is Shizune's once my words are interpreted for her. I'm just worried about her being absent so often, especially now, though, with her birthday coming around. The memories of that incident in class are still fresh in their minds. Their faces alone are telling that much. Do you know anything about Hanako? Anything that might help? Misha shrugs and looks to Shizune, who mulls on this for a while. The only people she's ever talked to for more than a sentence or two are you and Lily. Shizune may not be able to convey Lily's name in a derisive tone of speech, but I feel as if it comes through in her sign language. The effect is lost, however, after Misha's interpretation. There are a couple of things we know about Hanako as student council members thanks to the records that pass through our hands, but we can't say anything about what's in them. Understandable. It sounds like the nurse's patient confidentiality. Every time I find someone that knows something about Hanako's past, it turns up being a dead end. The only way I'll ever find that is by asking her. I don't know if she'll let me know such things, but if it's for her sake, I have to at least try. Don't worry about it, Hee-chan. It happens every year, after all. That doesn't remove any my sense of worry at all. I still feel a little at fault for what happened in class, but this feels like it goes further, even without the confirmation of that fact. Misha notes my troubled expression, her own usually happy and reassuring face dropping. Everyone has problems they have to deal with, right, Hee-chan? Yeah, I just wish I could help Hanako more with hers. With that, the conversation trails off on a depressing note. Eventually, Misha manages to pick the mood back up through her usual bright and bubbly antics, but my mind remains focused on Hanako. I'll go and check on her later. I make sure my door is locked after dropping off my school bag. The dorms are quiet. Mucho kept me occupied longer than expected, discussing my studies after classes ended, pressing me on some worksheets to give to Hanako almost as an afterthought. Absorbed in thought, I'm late in registering the shadow that appears in front of me. Looking up reveals the owner of said shadow. Hey man, haven't seen you in a while. Oh, hi. What's with that response? My absent-minded greeting visibly annoys him. I'd probably have had the same reaction. Sorry, just thinking about a lot of stuff. Thinking is a pretty poor excuse to not be aiding the war effort. And how goes the war? I'm preparing. Right now I need money to help with those preparations. If you want me to loan you money, just say it. No man, I'm good. You're good? You don't want my money? Hey man, don't look so surprised. It's insulting. I'm pretty big in the competitive bowling scene, but yesterday I found some guys who didn't know that. I'm fairly sure that betting would be against the school rules. School rules don't matter. This is a war situation. People these days, they have no appreciation for what war means. So what do you need this money for, dare I ask? Non-perishable canned food, building materials, mostly corrugated iron and wood panels, first aid kit, camping heater, portable radio, sleeping bag, flashlight, mechanical clock. At first it strikes me as a rather random assortment of objects and materials, but after a few seconds it clicks. Isn't that a list of materials for a fallout shelter? Ah, so you've read a Protect and Survive booklet. It's good to see someone who's knowledgeable about how to protect themselves. You don't seriously think. It's a non-zero possibility. I'm pretty sure there's no zero possibility of that ever happening. He slowly and dramatically raises an eyebrow. Well, as dramatic as one can raise an eyebrow. The chance is, I don't know, 0.1 to the trillionth place. It's infinitesimal. Besides, where can you build a fallout shelter anyway? Certainly not on campus. It's my summer holiday project while I'm at home. My dad said I could do it. Really? Yeah, he thought it will improve my crafting skills and manual dexterity, or something. Knowing Kenji, his dad probably decided it might keep him out of his hair for a while. Still, it does make me wonder what his parents are like. Maybe they're totally normal and Carrie's just an aberration. On the other hand, maybe this kind of paranoia and fearful survivalism runs in the family. Hey, wanna help me build it? You look like the type to be handy with tools. If I had your help, we can really make a badass bunker instead of just a fallout shelter. I doubt that. Playing soccer before my accident gave me good footwork, but I've never really tried my hand at anything approaching real handiwork. I'm not really. I'm busy over the holidays anyway, I'm afraid. A shame. If the feminists ever get a hold of the launch codes, I fear that so few will be prepared. And your fallout shelter will protect you from a nuclear bomb explosion in the case that this does happen? A fallout shelter isn't meant to protect against the glass. That's what a blast shelter is for. I thought you knew better. My mistake. My home's pretty far away from any major military sites, so the fallout following a nuclear exchange is a bigger concern than the blast itself. What this will do is keep the dust and other particulates away from me, my food supply and my sleeping area. It's gotta last me at least 14 days, though. 14 days is a pretty long time. It is. I need 1 liter of water a day for drinking, 2 optimally so I can wash well. Toiletry is easy enough, just garbage back at a bin placed outside the shelter area. Food means canned supplies, of course. Of course, and the radios for outside communication? Right, so I can pick up government alerts on one's going outside. I need a mechanical clock rather than an electric one in case the electromagnetic pulse from the nuclear airburst fries it too. There's all the other stuff I need as well, like extra clothing, matches, and candles. I think I still have time to gather it all, though. Maybe. As much as I hate to say it, I'm a little impressed. He's really researched this and thought it through. Then again, I don't know if I want to live in a post-apocalyptic world with only people like Kenji haven't survived. Sounds like you really know what you're doing. Damn right I do. Must be hard living in constant fear like this. He hardly ever socializes either, so the fact that he went bowling with others in itself is something of a surprise. This mentality reminds me of a certain someone. Thankfully, her fear of others doesn't manifest in such a distinctly eccentric way. One thing I know for sure is that I certainly can't tell him exactly why I haven't been hanging around with him much recently. It's late. I have stuff to do. I'll think about making a fallout shelter or something, though. Yeah, alright, that's cool. Man has to do what he's gotta do, after all. You should hang out with me sometime, by the way. You're a cool dude. Cool dudes should hang out together, right? For some reason, that compliment actually feels kinda nice. The situation with Hanako being what it is, though, means I probably won't be able to fulfill his request. For now, at least. That'd be good. I'll talk to you later about it when I can. Cool. Later, dude. He retreats to his dormitory room. I'd better go see Hanako. I stand outside of the door to Hanako's room, hoping that she isn't in too much of a state as I nervously clutch the worksheets Muto asked me to pass on to her. It's one more reason to visit her, and it gives me something to talk about, so I suppose I should be thankful to him for giving me the task. With a long breath to steady myself, I rap my knuckles on the door in front of me. Silence. I listen intently for any sound of shuffling coming from inside, but I can't hear a thing. I knock on the door again, slightly harder. Still no answer. How strange. Scratching my head, I make one last attempt to getting her to answer the door as I knock on the door one final time. Hanako, it's just me. Muto said to give you some stuff. For a while, the attempt seems just as unsuccessful as the last. Just before I slip the sheets under our door, though, I hear the handle rattling. As the door opens halfway, I quickly try to see how Hanako's faring. It's a task made somewhat more difficult by her oversized gown hiding so much of her body. She doesn't look sick, or at least not immediately so. To be honest, I'd have preferred that to her expression right now. She looks terribly tired and appears to be barely acknowledging my presence. Hi, Hanako. Muto wanted me to give you these since you weren't in class today. I hold up the loose sheets, which she tentatively takes in her hands. The way she moves is devoid of thought. Her posture is slumped in an unusual manner for someone who's often so tense and wound up. Even her eyes keep looking away from mine, doing their best to avoid eye contact. I move my head a little and try to get a better look, but she just ends up turning away. Are you okay? If you feel sick or anything, I can go get a nurse. It feels almost pitiful to put on such a routine get-well-soon act. I can't think of anything else I could possibly do for her, though. She seems to collect herself a little at the notion, but only a little. Her head remains turned away, but her eyes move toward mine. I'm fine. An awkward silence follows. As it lingers, I notice that the sleeves and cuffs of her gown bear slightly damp stains. Her cheeks are a bit red, too. Has she been crying? I see. I hesitate a little before coming out with the words I really came here to say. Would you like me to stay? I don't have anything urgent to do at the moment, so it wouldn't be any trouble. Her eyes slide away from mine, and I lose any hope for an improvement of her mood. I wait for a response, but she doesn't say anything, nor give any kind of gesture. She just stands there, looking away from me. Hanako? She slowly shakes her head. Okay, good night then. With that, Hanako steps back and closes the door without a second word. More than a little worried, I retreat back to my room. Wandering up the hallway, I keep mulling over what just happened. It felt like Hanako was only half there, as if I was interacting with a robot that was just doing what it was programmed to without any real thought. She was a husk of a person. This is frustrating. I had hoped that meeting Hanako would help the situation, but I feel like it's only made it harder to understand her. How am I supposed to try and help her when she quite literally shuts me out like that? I don't even bother to turn on the light, opting instead to simply change into my pajamas, quickly choke down my evening pills, and collapse onto my bed. The part's gonna keep going, don't worry. Once again, Hanako doesn't turn up for class. Try as I might to concentrate on other matters, this fact continues to distract me throughout the entire school day, even as I walk through the school gardens to the dormitories. I don't think today being her birthday is a coincidence either. I don't know the link between the two events, though, nor do I have any idea of what on what she's feeling. Were it physical pain, I could at least provide some limited comfort. With something like this, though, I have nowhere near to start. I run the people I know through my head, thinking about whether they could help. Shizune and Nisha don't know that much about Hanako, and what little they do know can't help. They can't tell me. Same for the nurse. In the end, there's only one other person that knows Hanako well and would be willing to tell me anything. Entering my dormitory room, I notice something that takes me off guard. It's starting to feel familiar. With everything that's going on around me, I'm thankful this room started to finally be somewhere I can relax a little. When I first entered Yamaku, it felt immediately foreign in every way, from the untouched neatness to the way it smelled. Focusing back on the task at hand, I throw my bag onto the bed as I open the top drawer of my desk. Before she left, Lily told me the number to call her while in Scotland. I wrote it down. In hindsight, I wonder if she knew something like this could happen. Now that she's out of reach, I realize just how much both Hanako and I have relied on her for guidance. I dig around drawer after drawer, looking for that damn piece of paper. Eventually, thankfully, I find it nestled under a borrowed library book. I probably shouldn't have just entered directly into my cell phone, come to think of it. Without further ado, I enter the numbers and anxiously press the call button. Eventually, the phone picks up. A feminine voice I don't recognize on the other end. It's probably Lily's mother. Garble, garble, Sato, garble. English? Suddenly finding myself unprepared, I realize I can't understand a word she says, either due to my limited vocabulary or her heavy accent. I should have anticipated this, since according to Lily, her mother's a native Scot. I soldier on the hope that she must know some Japanese, considering it's her daughter's native language. It's Hisao Nakai speaking. An enthusiastic sound of realization can be heard as she recognizes the language. My feeling of relief is immense. Ah, you must be one of Lily's friends from school, correct? Even so, her accent means I have to concentrate to work out what she's saying. Yes, that's right. Pleased to speak to you, Miss Sato. It's so nice of her to find someone so polite. Lily, dear, it's for you. Her mother seems nice, if a little over-enthusiastic given the mundane situation. There's a small silence as Lily takes her time getting to the phone. In the distance, I can just make out her mother scolding her playfully for just getting up. Hello, Lily speaking. You sound awful. Makes a sound somewhere between a dying animal and a yawn. The one thing I did remember to check before calling was the time zone. It'd be pretty late in the morning over there, so she really has no excuse. Not feeling well? Just tired. What time is it there? Late afternoon. School finished for the day not long ago. Hanako's not well, is she? That was quick. My assumption that she must have known something like this could happen seems to have been on the mark. How did you know? Because today is her birthday. I'd hoped she might have gotten at least a little better after coming to know you, but... How is she right now? She missed school today and yesterday. I still have to check up on her today. To be honest, after seeing how she was when I talked to her yesterday, I'm pretty anxious. I really have no idea what to make of it. Has this happened in the past? Is it related to her scarring in some way? Unfortunately so. Roughly the same thing happened last year when her birthday came up. As far as I can tell, it's because her parents died in the accident that caused her scarring, and Hanako blames herself for their deaths. What she says does seem to make sense. If she's blaming herself on her birthday, she may well be ruining that she was ever born. Hanako had mentioned her stay in the orphanage to me. Maybe I should take some heart that she trusts me enough to tell me such a thing. Lily seems so in the dark about it, though, almost to the extent that I am. It's a surprise. So that's why she lives in the student dormitories as well. Has she told you any more about the accident? As close as we've come, she's barely told me anything about what happened. What I know about it is largely conjecture. She sounds depressed, almost defeated. Considering the trauma Hanako must have gone through, I can't really fault Lily for not knowing. Nevertheless, she still seems to consider it a personal failing. Don't blame yourself, Lily, with everything she's gone through. There's a long silence from the other end of the line. I begin to wonder if the call cut out before the voice at the other end speaks once again. There's another person, though, that has been subject of worry for me as of late. Oh? I run through the people she could be talking about in my head. The only friends she seems to keep very close are Hanako and I, though there is Akira as well. That person is you, Hisao. There's another silence on the line, but this time it's caused by me. Making others worry about me is something I very actively tried to avoid since coming to Yamaku. Indeed, even my interaction with Hanako has helped stave off my major health problems thanks to our relaxing, slow-paced lives. Uh-huh. What is there to worry about over me? I apologize, I didn't mean any offense. Sorry, I was just taken a bit off guard. Still, isn't Hanako a bigger problem at the moment? For some time now, I've thought that both of you may be feeding into each other's more worrying habits. I tried to amend this before leaving, but it seems to have done little. Worrying habits? When I asked you about what you had in mind for the future, your answer was very similar to what Hanako has said in the past when the question was posed to her. It is well and good to want to protect her, but I fear that treating Hanako like this, as if she were a daughter or someone in need of special care, is only going to achieve the opposite. The situation got effectively turned on its head. After everything that's happened, this is the first time I find myself doubting Lily's judgment. Now, as I said before, no matter what I pick, I'm getting the bad ending. Lily is right. If you want to get the good ending at all, you have to agree with Lily. But we're kind of past the point where we can. So, let's just agree with Lily anyway. I listened carefully to what Lily has to say, but I can't bring myself to agree with her. Hanako is a delicate person at the best of times, and after what happened when her birthday was brought up, I think this is the very last situation where we should be leaving her alone if she's deliberately secluding herself. It feels like Lily has a very definite image of how best to deal with Hanako in her mind, though. Not just now, but in all the time that I've known the two. I mull over the best course of action in my head, and find myself trying to verbally agree with Lily as softly and ambivalently as I can. We make some small talk afterward, but neither of us really has much stomach for it in the light of recent events. We say our goodbyes before I hang up. I want to talk to Hanako myself to help her as best I can. The best thing for her right now would be to have someone close to her, not to be left alone. I rap my knuckles thrice on Hanako's door. As expected, there's no answer. I briefly consider knocking again, but I know full well that I'd just get the same result if I did. Resting my hand on Hanako's door handle, I try and prepare what I want to say to her. Try as I might, I can't really think of anything worth saying. I want to comfort her, yes, but I have no idea how to do that. That alone is almost enough to stop me. I told Lily that I would, though, so I feel I have to follow through, whether I'm confident about it or not. I turn the handle downwards, with a large amount of hesitation. It doesn't move far, though, due to the door being locked. Hanako. So she really has locked me out. After everything that happened between us and the time we spent together, she shut me out completely. I don't know if you can hear me, but I just want to talk to you a bit. If you can hear me, could you unlock the door? I wait in silence. Minutes pass, but eventually I hear footsteps coming to the door and the lock being worked. At least she's willing to hear me out. That's one good thing. I don't really know what to say, but I just wanted to see you. I wanted to make sure you're alright. I take a breath before pushing the handle down and opening the door. If she unlocked it without raising any protest, it should be fine for me to go in. Hanako is sitting on the side of her bed, her face sullen as though deep in thought. Her room seems stark as ever, and right now she seems to perfectly suit the mood it gives off. Eventually, her eyes move to the door, and as soon as she notices my presence, she darts off her bed and jumps to her feet, facing me straight on. Her oversized gown makes this gesture look all the more sweeping as it freely moves about her light frame. What are you... I quickly regret coming in as I look at her. She looks depressed, but there's a tinge of anger behind it, so she can make this kind of expression as well. I just wanted to check you were alright. Thought it'd be okay since you unlocked the door. Hanako opens her mouth to speak, but quickly closes it again before looking away. We stand in silence for a while before she steps back and sits down on the side of her bed. I'm not sure whether she's frustrated with me and resigned to the fact that I'm here, or genuinely okay with me being in the room. Once again, I find myself completely unable to work out how she feels. It's annoying. I end up walking to her desk chair and taking a seat. I do it slowly to allow her time to raise any issues she might have with me sticking around, but she doesn't say anything. All she does is stare at the ground, not moving a muscle. After sitting with my front to the chair's back, I take a better look at Hanako. She appears pale, her cheeks look red. I'm not sure she's been eating well either, given how thin her frame looks. Lily might have said that it would be better to keep more of a distance from her, but it's hard to think of that as the correct way to deal with Hanako when she looks like this. She keeps looking at the ground without a word, as if waiting for me to say something. It's entirely reasonable, since I'm the one who came into her room. Want to go out somewhere? Going down the hill to town might be a bit much, but we could at least go for a walk outside. Why do you want to do that? Just thinking that might help you a bit. You spend so much time inside, your skin is just going to get as pale as Lily's before long. I snort in amusement, expecting Hanako to do the same, but she gives no reaction. She just goes back to look at the ground. If you don't want to go, I don't want to go either. It's fine. I played soccer and hung out with friends after school a lot before coming to Yamaku, so I like being outdoors. Hanako shows no visible reaction. It's hard to talk to her when the discussion is so one-sided. We could go to the library if it wasn't closed by about now. The gardens would be fine, though. She begins to play with her hair. It's distracting and strikes me as a little unusual for her. Then again, since the incident in class happened, I've been tiptoeing around her for fear of hurting her like that again. Actively trying to get her outside might be a good thing. I lean forward a bit more in the chair and give her a slightly forced smile to try and lighten the mood a little. There wouldn't be anyone around by now, so you wouldn't have to worry about someone getting in our way. It could be a little date or something. I give a small chuckle, but catch myself as Hanako stops playing with her hair and grips the bed tightly. Hanako's mouth moves, but try as I might, I can't pick out what she's mumbling. Hanako? You don't understand. Even now, I can barely understand what she says. It feels like she's trying to make her presence as small as possible. That's incredibly natural for her to do in class or around others, but it hurts when she tries to do it around me. I told you, it's fine, it's just a little walk, nobody will notice us. I get out of the chair and walk toward the door, turning back to invite Hanako along. Once again, she doesn't respond at all to what I say. I don't... Going outside for a bit is good for clearing your head. Why you want to do this? Because I want to help you. I don't want help. You just come here to try and get me out? I don't mind, I think everyone needs help sometimes. When I was trying to get through my first days at Yamaku, you and Lily helped me a lot. Besides, I'm not exactly busy. I don't want to go, I'm fine. I don't really think it's healthy to stay indoors that long. It's got a little life in it, so it's not too late to have at least a little walk. I can probably use a bit of exercise anyway to help me wake up. I've got some homework to get done. It wouldn't be good to fall asleep halfway through doing it. Then go. By myself? She nods. Well, I'm not really against that. Are you sure? I swung by to invite you to come with me. I'm fine. You can go. Come on, just a little walk. Please, just go. I'm fine here. Hanako? I try to look at her face to gauge her feelings, but her expression is wooden, as if it was so carefully arranged that a single movement might cause it to collapse. Well, if you want to stay here, maybe we could play a game? Just leave, please. I don't want to do anything right now. Surely there's something you want to do. It must be boring sitting here in your room alone. I want you to go. Come on, you don't have to be like that. I just want to spend some time with you. Lily and I are worried, so... You talked to her? Yeah, we were on the phone just a little while ago. We were both really worried about you. Hanako mumbles to herself again. It's increasingly disturbing. Hanako? I'm telling you, please, go away. You don't understand anything. We just had a talk. You can tell me what I don't understand. I just want to protect you. I don't really see... And that's where Hasao screwed it up. Get out, please. Just locking yourself in your room isn't going to help anything, Hanako, please. Silence. Hanako, I just want to help you. We all know he screwed up. She suddenly storms off her bed, turning to me with an expression that takes me completely off guard. Get out of my room! Get out of my room! Get out of my room! Hanako yells at me with such force that for the first time in a long time, I feel genuinely frightened. I have no idea how to react to this, and from Hanako of all people. Leave, I'm telling you, go! But I was just trying to help you. I know I need help, I know I'm broken, I don't need you to tell me that! I never said you were broken or anything like that. It's written on your face, it's written on Lily's face, it's written on everybody's faces. I see a therapist every week. Lily dotes on me as if I were a child, and now even you. Nothing's changed, nothing at all. I hate Lily. I hate you even more than anyone. Her face moves in strange, almost grotesque ways. I've never seen someone completely lose it before, but it looks like the usually quiet and withdrawn girl in front of me is going into a completely destructive cycle before my eyes. I don't know what to do. I have no idea what I should say or do. Go! Leave me alone! Get out of here! I take a step back, then another, and then another. My retreat is only halted when I feel the door against my back. I can't fix this situation. Nothing I say would change anything now. I feel like I'm in a strange and deeply unsettling foreign world. I don't want to be here anymore. The door handle fights my clumsy attempts to open the door without my turning back to Hanako. Eventually, thankfully, the handle moves downward. I open the door as fast as I can and almost leap backward through it. As I go through, I keep my eyes on the girl in front of me. She's not broken. Hanako isn't broken. If she was broken, then I'm just as broken as she is after all that's happened to me. Lily only did the best by her, and I only ever tried to protect her as best as I could, which is not what you're not supposed to do. Hanako looks down, all her energy spent. Now that I've stepped out of her room, the worst of her fury is gone. But even now, I can't bring myself to argue with her. It's not just the deep shock at what she said. It feels like something else is stopping me. Something deep that makes me physically sick. Without a word, I slowly shut the door. The creak of the old hinges sounds almost deafening. With a final thud, the wooden door closes. The Hanako that I felt I knew disappears behind it, and only faint orange slivers of light peek around the very edges. I feel numb. Without anything else to do, I begin to walk back to my dormitory room, mechanically placing one foot in front of the other while barely registering a thing around me. My mind keeps ticking, questioning everything I thought I knew about Hanako. But one thing is not questioned. That shutting that door brought it close to more than a single visit. And that's the bad ending. And with that, I'll end this part off. Next time on Let's Play Katawa Shoujo, we will start back from our save state, and we'll go for the neutral ending, which is a little bit better than this one. So, until then, I am Reckoning. You are the viewer. Drop me a like or favorite if you like this video. Drop me a comment saying what I can do better, because I know I can do better. And until then, keep on reading.